Hi guys, it's Mrs. Santiago here, and we are going to continue to talk about time. Today we're going to cover the notes for the subtraction method. Let's take a look at where we are in your OneNote. So we're in your OneNote, Chapter 1, the basics, page 26, time, minutes, and subtraction method. So again, this is the bottom item because it's the newest note page that was distributed to you. So you're going to push it up to make sure that you have that page there. Okay. I am going to get rid of the table of contents so that I can see the note page. Let's talk a little bit about where we've been so far. So we've already learned to say es la una, son las cinco. Then we learned how to say es la una y media, son las 7:30. Then we practice with es la 1:15, son las 9:15. Then we just took the notes on how to talk about time with any amount of minutes. So if we had 1:26, we would say es la 1:26. If we had 4:45, we could say son las 4:45. Well, let's actually take a look at this one. So think about it in English. Would you say it is 4:45? Are there other ways for you to express that time? There actually is another way, and in English, we would say it is 4:45. We might say 15 minutes to 5. Okay, so in English, the way to express 4:45 is 15 minutes until the next full hour, which is 5 o'clock. In Spanish, we're going to flip it. So instead of saying 15 minutes to 5, we're going to say it is 5 o'clock minus 15 minutes. It's the same idea. Let's take a look at the notes together. Okay. And so it says, when the time shown on the clock is after 30 minutes, you can say the time by subtracting the number of minutes that it is close to the next full hour. In other words, 1:40 is the same as saying 20 minutes to 2. That's how we would say it in English, 20 minutes to 2. But in Spanish, to do the subtraction method, we're going to take this in steps. So the first thing you need to do, and we're going to talk about this clock right here, say the time for the next hour coming up. So what's the next hour past 1:40? The next hour would be 2. So we want to say it is 2 o'clock. To do that, we would say son las 2. Now say the word for minus. Well, we learned the word for minus when we were practicing our math operations before we started the time unit. So let's try to remember. Más, menos, por, dividido por. So we're looking for this one. So we have to say menos. Now say the number of minutes until the next hour. Well, between 1:40 and 2 o'clock, we are missing 20 minutes. So to say 20, we would say 20. Now put it all together. To say 1:40 p.m. as if you were saying 20 minutes to 2, in Spanish, you would have to say son las 2 menos 20. So what I always think of when I see these sentences is I write above it, 2 menos 20, 2 o'clock minus 20 minutes is the same thing as 1:40. Okay, now you try. There are 2 sentences for you to practice with. I'm going to do an additional practice one with you, but I'm going to do it over here on the side. So let's say that it was 7:50. Step 1, say it is and the next hour up. The next hour up would be 8 o'clock. So I want to say it is 8 o'clock. So son las 8. Okay. Menos, I've got to get in the minus. How many minutes are there from 7:50 to 8 o'clock? 10 minutes. So I have to say son las 8 menos 10. So 7:50 would be son las 8 menos 10, right? 8 menos 10, that's the same thing. 8 o'clock minus 10 minutes is the same thing as 7:50. Okay, I hope that clarifies, and these are the two sentences that you should be practicing. 8:45 p.m. as the subtraction method. So remember, what you're actually saying is that it is 9 o'clock minus 15 minutes, 10:55 p.m. What you're really going to be saying is it is 11 o'clock minus 5 minutes. Okay, the subtraction method is a little bit tricky, so let's look at this yellow highlighted box. It says the good news is using the subtraction method is harder than just saying the minutes. So you really never have to say it, not day it. You really never have to say it this way. It is important to know and understand the subtraction method in case someone else uses it. Of course, you can go ahead and use it, but I will not be requiring it. Okay, muy bien. Let's look at this last little bit of this notes page. Okay, so this is called Nota Cultural. Two cognates, flip them around. Cultural note. Note that in most Spanish-speaking countries, if not most countries outside of the United States, time is expressed in what is known as military time. So military time is using a 24-hour clock. In military time or a 24-hour clock, once you pass noon, the clock will not start over or return to 1 o'clock. It continues on to 13 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours, 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours, 21 hours, 22 hours, all the way to 23 hours. Now, when you get to 23 hours, there is no 24 hours because midnight would become 0 hour again. There is no AM and PM needed in a 24-hour clock. So let's take a look at what that means. So in the 24-hour clock, look at 10:55 p.m. On a military clock, because it is PM, I've already passed 12 noon. So what you really do is add 12 hours to the time. So if you take 10:55 because it's PM and add 12 hours, you're going to get 22:55. If a clock shows any number above 12, you can figure out how much it is by subtracting 12 hours. So let's look at a couple of examples. If I'm looking at a 24-hour clock and it is above 12, let's say that it is 17:25. To figure out what that is for us, all I need to do is subtract 12. I'm going to keep the 25 minutes and I'm going to subtract 7 minus 2 is 5. So it is 5:25 p.m. Let's do another one. If the hour is 20:40, to figure out what that would be for me, I'm going to subtract 12 hours from the military clock. I'm going to keep the 40 minutes. 20 minus 12 is 8, so it's 8:40 p.m. Anything above 12 and above is military time, 13, 14. Just subtract a 12. And then you will get your regular PM time. If you have any questions about military time or the 24-hour clock, please just let me know. I wanted you to be aware of it because it is used in most of the rest of the world. All right, guys, I hope those notes helped. And now you have mastered all of the different ways of telling time in Spanish. I am looking forward to seeing you put them into action when someone comes up to you and says, ¿Qué hora es? Son las 4:46. Gracias.